Up to this point, you have learned what PSPF is, how it is structured, how governance works, how people, places, information, and risk are managed, and why decisions must be defensible. Now comes the moment where everything becomes real. The Australian Protective Security Policy Framework is not designed to live in policy documents alone. It is designed to operate inside real organizations with real constraints, real people, real budgets, and real pressure. This lecture helps you see how PSPF is applied in practice across different environments, and why implementation always looks a little different depending on context. Your goal in this lecture is to move from understanding PSPF to recognizing it in action. One of the first things you need to accept is that PSPF is intentionally flexible. If you expect every organization to implement PSPF in exactly the same way, you will quickly become frustrated. PSPF defines outcomes, not identical solutions. This allows organizations with different missions, sizes, and risk profiles to meet the same security expectations in different ways. For you, this means success is not measured by sameness. It is measured by whether risks are understood, controls are appropriate, and accountability is clear. In federal government agencies, PSPF is mandatory and deeply embedded into governance structures. You will often see PSPF reflected in enterprise risk registers, security plans, assurance programs, and executive reporting. Accountability is clearly assigned, and security decisions are expected to align with national interests and public trust. Implementation tends to be formal, documented, and subject to review. This does not mean it is perfect, but it does mean PSPF is taken seriously at leadership levels. For you, this environment shows PSPF operating exactly as intended, as a leadership-driven framework guiding security decisions across the organization. State government bodies often align with PSPF even when they are not directly mandated to follow it. In practice, you will see PSPF principles adapted to local legislation, sector requirements, and operational realities. The structure remains familiar, but the language and governance may vary. This alignment helps state organizations work effectively with federal counterparts and vendors, while maintaining consistency in security expectations. For you, this demonstrates how PSPF influences security beyond the Commonwealth without forcing uniformity. Critical infrastructure organizations often apply PSPF principles because the consequences of failure are high. In these environments, physical security, personnel security, and operational resilience play a particularly strong role. Cybersecurity is important, but it is tightly coupled with safety, reliability, and continuity. PSPF helps these organizations take a holistic view of risk, ensuring that protection is balanced with operational needs. For you, this highlights how PSPF adapts to environments where disruption has real-world consequences beyond data loss. If you work for a vendor or service provider, you may not formally own PSPF, but it still affects you. When you handle government data, access government systems, or operate within government facilities, PSPF expectations flow through contracts, assurance requirements, and security obligations. This often surprises people. PSPF does not stop at organizational boundaries. It extends through supply chains and partnerships. For you, this means understanding PSPF makes you more effective when working with government clients or regulated industries. In the real world, PSPF implementation is rarely smooth. Common challenges include unclear ownership, limited resources, competing priorities, and resistance to change. Sometimes, PSPF is misunderstood as compliance paperwork rather than a risk framework. Another challenge is overreach. Trying to implement everything at once without considering maturity or capacity. For you, recognizing these challenges helps you approach PSPF with realism rather than frustration. One of the most important practical lessons is the difference between maturity-based adoption and big bang compliance. Maturity-based adoption focuses on gradual improvement. Organizations assess where they are, prioritize risks, and improve over time. Big bang compliance attempts to implement everything at once. This often leads to burnout, resistance, and shallow controls. PSPF strongly supports maturity-based adoption, even if this is not always stated explicitly. For you, this reinforces that progress matters more than perfection. Imagine a growing agency that has rapidly adopted cloud services and contractors. Applying PSPF in this scenario means reassessing personnel security, access controls, and information handling without shutting down operations. The organization might start by strengthening governance, clarifying accountability, and addressing the highest risk first. This scenario shows PSPF guiding prioritization rather than dictating immediate perfection. Now imagine a service provider delivering managed services to a government department. PSPF expectations may require stronger access controls, staff vetting, and incident reporting processes. The provider does not need to copy the department's controls exactly, but it must demonstrate that risks are managed appropriately. For you, this shows how PSPF influences behavior through assurance and accountability rather than direct authority. By now, you should understand that PSPF is not something you install. It is something you apply thoughtfully. Whether you work in government, industry, consulting, or technology, PSPF shapes how security expectations are set, assessed, and communicated. Your value increases when you can help organizations interpret PSPF realistically and apply it proportionately. By the end of this lecture, you should clearly see PSPF as a living framework that adapts to real organizations. It works through leadership, risk, and maturity, not rigid enforcement. Its strength lies in its flexibility combined with accountability. In the next lecture, you will explore PSPF in modern technology environments, where cloud, zero trust, and emerging technologies challenge traditional assumptions and test how well PSPF principles hold up. If this lecture helped you see how PSPF works beyond policy documents, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your real-world experiences or questions in the comments. Your engagement helps others bridge the gap between theory and practice in Australian cybersecurity.